Did you know that not all pre-approvals are the same? In fact, the term pre-approval is used very generically within the market, and specifically when it comes to first-time buyers, because they have not experienced this before. As I mentioned in a previous video, every aspect of the escrow is a negotiation. From the first phone call to the time that I call a listing agent before we submit an offer to closing up the escrow itself. It's very important that when you find the perfect home that you are wanting to write an offer on, that we are showing the strength of your offer. You see, sellers and their agents, yes, they want the best terms. They want the most money or the quickest close, but they most importantly want to know when they accept an offer, an open escrow, that escrow will close. To my credit, I've never actually had an escrow fall out and not close, and that's because of the strength that we put in ahead of time before submitting our offer. Now, that begins with the pre-approval process. Now, when I meet with a buyer in the buyer's meeting and I connect them with a lender, or they've already chosen a lender and I connect with that lender and guide them through how we're going to operate this transaction, I am very specific about what the pre-approval looks like. Now, in the pre-approval process, your lender is going to need to gather information from you. First and foremost, there's three options. We have a pre-qualification, we have a pre-approval, and we have a fully underwritten pre-approval. Hopefully, most lenders are not moving forward with a pre-qualification anymore. Unfortunately, I do see that from time to time still on offers for my listings. A pre-qualification is essentially gathering information unverified, and based on the information that you, the buyer, has disclosed to the lender, they will say that you are approved for X. That is fine, except for that means there's a lot of work left to do before we actually know that you can be approved for a mortgage. When it comes to a pre-approval, your lender will meet with you. They will talk about your goals and the vision that you have for this home. They will gather the supporting documents that you need. They will run your credit, and they will determine exactly what specifics are about your financial position through bank statements, through tax returns, through your paychecks, and of course, again, by running your credit. That means that as long as nothing changes between the time that you're pre-approved and the time that you close escrow, the pre-approval should be solid. There shouldn't be, barring anything unforeseen occurring between that beginning process and the end, you should be able to close up your loan. That is fantastic. That is a strong position when you're writing an offer. Now, in some cases, and not all lenders do this, but the lender that I work with most of the time also offers something called a fully underwritten pre-approval. Now, when you're meeting with a loan originator, when you're meeting with a mortgage broker, you are not likely going to be talking to somebody that makes the ultimate final decision. The underwriting department is the people that I don't get to talk to, you don't get to talk to. The lender itself, the loan originator, the mortgage broker, the person who gave you your pre-approval, they ultimately have to send everything to this underwriting department, who's going to make the ultimate decision of, yes, we're going to fund this loan. Their job is to find all the errors and issues and correct them and make any adjustments to make sure that we're able to secure your loan. So a fully underwritten pre-approval means they take all of that documentation you've given, all your information, and they actually submit it to the underwriting department. The underwriting department, the ultimate yes or no people, are going to give a decision and say, yes, they will close on this loan based on the information that we have. After, whether you do a pre-qualification, a pre-approval, or a fully underwritten pre-approval, you will be given a letter that says you are approved up to this amount. Now, being somebody who wants to manage the whole system for you and control your emotions, I always find out what your max approval ceiling is. Let's say that your maximum approval is $750,000. I don't want to submit an offer for $750,000. And the reason being is things continue to change. The market continues to evolve each and every day. And $750,000 approval today might not mean $750,000 approval tomorrow if rates change ever so slightly in the wrong direction. So I have that conversation with the lender to find out what actually is a comfortable spot based on predictability of what the market's going to do. And we try and stay within that. Have I written offers right at the full pre-approval amount? I absolutely have, but only after solid discussion with the lender. So understanding that your pre-approval will give us the guidelines for what we need to do. Now, the other thing that's important is they're going to determine what type of loan product you qualify. We might not be using a conventional loan. We may need to use something of another product, of a jumbo loan if we're going for a certain dollar amount, and that's county specific. If you are a veteran or active duty military, first off, thank you for your service. The VA, the Veterans Administration, actually offers a loan product that's available to you that is fantastic and well-deserved. There's also the FHA loan product and USDA loan product. Now, each of those are going to have their own guidelines and standards. And so we will determine what you are approved for. For example, if you are approved for an FHA loan, which a lot of first-time buyers use, there are standards on the home itself that we need to be aware of. Now, I have worked with a lot of FHA loan products, and so I understand what those standards are, but it has its own separate appraisal. So we need to make sure that the home we select actually works with that loan product. And that's very important as well. Through the pre-approval process, we're going to gather all the information and figure out where your financial ability is. As I said in the very first video, it is super important that you start with understanding where are you comfortable. Just because you're approved for a $750,000 loan, which gives you this payment, doesn't mean that you're comfortable there. I have worked with lots of buyers who get approved for a large amount, but their comfort zone is actually here when it comes to a mortgage payment. And that is super important that you work with a professional who is not going to push you beyond where your comfort level is. And your mortgage lender will work with that as well. Okay. There's a lot to unpack there. There's a lot more information. That's where you sit down in a buyer's meeting, and that's where you and I can connect and find out a little bit more about what your goals are so we can work within that and unpack that process a little bit more. Again, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to either comment on this video. I'll get alerted to that, or shoot me an email, steve@gorgeouspropertysolutions.com. We'll see you on the next video.